Hello, it's Rani Yoga Devi, Renee Knight, coming to you from my home in Leamington, Ontario. I have been very, very disturbed by what's been happening in Palestine, um, and so much untruth, so much propaganda on both sides actually happening, but more on the Israeli side, taking all sorts of liberties with the truth about what's happened, and Hamas involvement and all of that's been completely exaggerated. It's very upsetting, and it's difficult to find the truth. So I have taken great lengths to find out the truth, looking at both sides, both the Palestinian side and the Israeli side, and then the in between of a really dubious organization. And I'm not talking about Hamas, I'm talking about on the Israeli side, that has been doing some really nasty things. Not a Palestinian group, I'm talking about an international group, and I think you all know who I mean. I'll put it in the comments, but I'm not going to say it here because you already know who it is. And if anybody doesn't, well, it's going to be in the comments. I just think that we're at such a critical time in our world where the Abrahamic faiths, with the exception of Christians, are involved in a terrible, terrible war. Although there are some Christians involved because they live in Palestine. It just seems to me that now more than ever, we have to stand up for what we believe in. And if we believe in basic human rights, and we believe in people having the capacity to practice their own religion, and I know this is not at all about religion, this is about a subjugation of a people by people who want their land so that they can open up a trade route, take oil and natural gas that belongs to Palestinians who deserve some financial remuneration for that, and could therefore develop their land into a better way because they've been living in great poverty and under the control of the Israeli army for a very long time. And this isn't to say that I don't like Israel, because it isn't about Israel. It's really about what has been done to them by the Israeli army. I have seen lots of things about Jewish people speaking out against this. I have Jewish friends who are speaking out against this. And it isn't Jew versus Islamic issue, but it could easily turn into a world war if it's not handled properly. The United Nations has been trying to get involved, but it seems like they're being blocked at every turn. Egypt has tried to get involved in terms of giving aid, but Israel won't let those trucks in. Same with UN. They've tried to get aid in, but they won't let it in. And it's just so sad. And for those of you who are people of faith, I don't care what your faith is, whether it's one of these three Abrahamic faiths or not, please pray for the people of Palestine. And also pray for Israel and the people who are involved very closely, because they can't see as clearly what's going on as we can. But in the other side, we don't have as much context for what has been going on. We can look at it objectively, about the history of 75 years of occupation by Israel of a people who, this is their land and has always been their land. And Israel was created by a Balfour Declaration, which England did, and I don't know whether they really had the right to do that, but my feeling is no. And it seemed very wrong to let people just come from anywhere in Europe and buy land and just settle there with no consideration for what would happen to the Palestinian people. And that's my position on it. And I am happy to discuss this with people, but I will not discuss it with people who are going to take a um, prejudice kind of a stance on it. You need to be willing to look at both sides if you are looking for a solution, a peaceful resolution down the road. And if you just want to talk to me about one side of it, I will shut you down because I don't have the time or the energy. To be honest, I have expended a lot of energy. I've watched so many YouTubes. I've talked to so many people. I've even done a course on Islamic studies. You know, I'm not even kidding. So I think it's important that we do that, because if we're not knowledgeable, we should be talking about it. Honestly, we really need to know what's going on to speak to it, because if you speak about something, anything, from a position of a lack of knowledge, unless you're just asking questions to learn, you're not doing anybody a service. In fact, you're doing a disservice and misinforming people, and nobody really wants to do that. But many people are. Like, it's unbelievable some of the comments that I've got on posts that I have put up. And the interesting thing that really surprised me and very much upsets me is that a lot of those comments are coming from Indian people. And I'm like, wow, as a yoga master, I'm just like flabbergasted that so many Indian people are prejudiced against Palestine. And I think where that's stemming from is their relationship with Pakistan. And, India and Pakistan were partitioned, and they were partitioned very badly, very poorly, without very much thought that went into it. It was kind of pell-mell all over the place. And as a result, I think that there are a lot of Indian people of Hindu descent who just do not like anybody who is Islamic, who is of a different faith. And there have been up in Kashmir all kinds of problems, and now it's only Muslim people up in Kashmir. But anyhow, my teacher from India passed away in November, and I'm glad he didn't have to see this happen, because I think he would be quite disgusted. But he hails from the Himalayas, so up in the mountains, very close to Pakistan, Kashmir, and all of that. So, they saw a lot of problems themselves. I'm not sure if anybody's aware, but they have been murdering Hindu priests for a long time. The Muslim radicals, or you could call them terrorists, have been doing this sort of thing to Hindus for a long time. So it's not like Indian people are unaware of terrorism, because they've experienced it. And I think this might be why they're looking at the Palestinian situation with a lens through Hamas. But how many people know that Hamas was actually created by Israel? Not many. And if you do tell people, they don't want to believe it. But I've checked my facts. And yeah, Hamas was created by Israel. And what was done with it is another story. The people who have chosen to be involved with that are responsible. And I've even heard things about Hamas, actually some direct members, but the most significant thing that I heard from somebody related to Hamas was the son of one of the founders of Hamas talking about the whole situation. He's completely against it, and he is a force for peace at this point in time. And I just think, wow, that's an amazing man who can say, hey, you know what my father did, I don't agree with, and this is the way forward through peace. And Palestinians have to have what they need, and Israel has to have what they need. And I'm talking about what they need, not what they want. Israel can't just annihilate a people and get away with it fully, because it's basically what was done to them as Jews internationally through Europe. And I just, two wrongs do not make a right, and it's like as simple as that. Two wrongs don't make a right. There's always a peaceful way to do things if there's a will. There is always a way to find peace, and I just urge Israel to reach for that peace. And I urge Palestinians not to have hate for their oppressors. I know how difficult that is, but hate melts your own heart, breaks it into two. And it's difficult to have any love for anything if there's hate in your heart. So I just pray for both sides to find peace, first within their hearts and then within each other. And I understand that as a Palestinian, it will be very difficult to trust anybody after this. Anybody. Because you don't know who they are. You don't know what their position is. I don't know. That's kind of all I have to really say on the matter at the moment. But I encourage everybody to look at both sides and, really be aware before you speak to anything, especially online. And don't be bullying and doxing people. That is just not cool. It's low class, and it just says more about you than the people you are harassing. Anyhow, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing comments and questions. And they don't have to be positive, but they definitely are not welcome if they're prejudiced or hateful towards any group or me. Thanks so much. Bye-bye for now.